Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, feeling a bit under the weather as of right now, but you know what makes me even more sick than the debilitating disease that I caught doing God knows what by my lonesome? The fact that Meatball, the social media influencer who documented herself going throughout Philadelphia encouraging the BLM rioting that we saw, post the decision not to charge a police officer in a shooting, the fact that she's now selling merchandise and playing the victim. We're going to get into that, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over on actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. So if you guys are unaware, I shot a video the night of the Philadelphia looting and riots, which of course YouTube delayed for like 5 days before I could publish it out to you in the public. And during the course of that video, I repeatedly used this footage from a so-called influencer called Meatball. Now, it wasn't until the editing process of the video that I realized that basically every single one of my clips from all angles of the looting and rioting was actually from this Meatball person's account. The footage of them stealing the iPhones from the Apple Store and the girl saying free iPhones, that was Meatball.
Got one! Free iPhones! Free iPhones! Free iPhones! Look, security running.
Oh, what's up?
Yeah, next!
The later on footage when Apple activated the alarms for the stolen iPhones and they decided not even to just leave them there, but to destroy them on the streets so nobody could have them. Guess what? That was also Meatball.
Crazy. Oh my God, this is crazy! Ain't nothing! Oh my God, all these iPhones! And they still going on! Oh my God! Put that shit! Oh my God!
The liquor store robbery, where they were tearing up the liquor store in order to get at the booze, the one where she's pictured holding one of the bottles. And by the way, that liquor store was actually looted the very next day based on how badly it was torn up and the inability to secure it. Also Meatball.
Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Yes! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat! Everybody must eat!
And finally, the most ridiculous aspect of that video, where they decided to go in and try to rob Popeyes, and she said the iconic line, which is, "Throw that chicken on my mom."
Look, the girl laughing back there. She think it's a joke. Look, she laughing. Y'all, throw that chicken up here on my mom. Throw that f***ing chicken up here. We want the chicken. What's up, gang? In the bag. We want the chicken. Look at mamas.
That was also, of course, Meatball, and needless to say, she was ultimately arrested that night for her part in participating in the looting, and she was actually charged with 6 counts that I want to go over for you because they're all deservedly so. Now, among these 6 felonies, Blackwell was charged with burglary, criminal trespassing, conspiracy, criminal mischief, riot with intent to commit a felony, and criminal use of a communication facility. She was also charged with 2 misdemeanors, including receiving stolen property and hazardous conditions / physically offensive, which I'm not sure what that means, but I'm assuming it's related to this rioting. Now, by the way, during the course of the events of Philadelphia, we saw the Foot Locker, we saw the Apple Store, we saw the Lululemon, all these other places getting damaged throughout the city, but there's also 7 cars stolen, there was about 52 people arrested, and of course, Meatball was one of them, and we saw her crying mugshot, and she's been talking about how she's been traumatized by the system on her social media, and how it's such a sad tale what happened to her the night that she decided to instigate rioting and looting throughout the city of Philadelphia.
I just want to say thanks to everybody that, carry for me. Ain't nothing, never been nothing. I never been through nothing like that ever in my life. I don't even know what happened. Like, I need some sleep. I'm scared. I'm traumatized.
So apparently Meatball put out a video saying that she needed cash in order to fight these criminal charges, but as you could see, there is no remorse at all whatsoever from this person, and in fact, she's completely disassociating herself from responsibility in her own life, which is a pattern we've seen time and time again from these people who promote themselves as BLM activists. She doesn't even know what happened. It got crazy out there. Nothing had anything to do with her, even though she was streaming this. She's cheering people on. She's taking stolen property from these locations, and she's encouraging other people to go out and loot via her live stream. But you know what? This is so traumatic for her. Nothing could even explain how this happened to her. She's the real victim. Isn't that so sad? And aren't you feeling so bad for her? Wow, wow, wow. She's just such a sad human being.
Blackwell was charged with burglary, conspiring, and rioting, among other felony charges. The 21-year-old was released on $25,000.
Now, I would give credit to the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office for the charges that we laid out, but in reality, these are the initial charges as put forward by the police department, and we're likely to see Larry Krasner's District Attorney's Office let this girl off scot-free for these crimes. She's pretending to be the victim. She is in a privileged class, being a woman of color, so we can't really hold her accountable for her own actions. I mean, just listen to the way that she disassociated herself from her own actions. But to give a slight amount of credit to the Philly DA's office, apparently they asked for a much higher bond. It ended up getting reduced all the way down to $25,000, to which Meatball's mother was able to pay to bail her out. So now she's out on the streets once again, and she's doing media interviews and doing something else with her mugshot that might not be all that surprising to you, even though I was just going to say is incredibly surprising.
We went to Blackwell's home today after she agreed for us to meet her there. Our attempts to speak with her about her actions Tuesday night and what's happened since then were cut short by her mom. Blackwell's mom did not want her speaking with reporters.
So I just want to say, especially considering the fact that the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office is probably going to give Meatball a slap on the wrist, that her mother is probably the smartest person in this entire story. Because while she's giving an interview, which by the way, you definitely should not do when you're pending a case, when you're awaiting trial, because those statements can be introduced as evidence. The mother is in the car beeping her horn to drown out the interview. However, they did get something out of Meatball, and that something is as follows.
But the woman known as Meatball did have something to say before going back inside her home. Do you have a message for people?
I just prefer, never loot again, stay out of trouble, and never go to jail.
So you regret what happened?
I regret it.
Isn't that such a nice message? She said, never loot again. Don't loot, and jail is quite traumatic for her. Oh, wow. Thank you, Meatball, for telling us something that anybody should be able to know before they participate, instigate in looting and rioting, but we all know who you actually are and what you behave like before you have the fear of consequences instilled in you. But I do want to say that this is a teachable moment. In Philadelphia, they removed all consequences for this kind of behavior. Larry Krasner not charging anyone. Their crime rate went up dramatically. Their homicide rate went up dramatically. It only got worse after the Black Lives Matter riots. So we get to the point where these people don't even expect to be arrested when they're live streaming themselves committing crimes. But now that she's been humbled a little bit, now that she's been arrested, now that they threw her in a jail cell, which by the way, they should have kept her in there a little bit longer, all of a sudden she's saying, don't loot, don't riot, that's bad, oh my god, what a sad, sad tale. But the thing is that this is not genuine. The thing is, she is not deserving of a slap on the wrist, because a break should be granted to somebody who shows genuine remorse and an actual aptitude and ability to make this up to the community that she's so wronged. But what is Meatball doing besides playing the victim on her Instagram lives or on her TikTok? What is Meatball doing besides actually asking people for money in order to support her legal defense fund, because she's trying to use her audience in order to fund herself to fight these charges? Which, by the way, very interesting. If GoFundMe actually decides to ban her, because supposedly they ban people for trying to crowdfund for criminal cases. That's exactly what they did to Kyle Rittenhouse, who was actually completely innocent, unlike Meatball. But in order to make a little bit more money off of this, she's actually selling merchandise with her mugshot on it. Yeah, that's right. This girl who claimed that she was sorry, that claimed that looting and rioting was bad and all that, and how she was victimized, and honestly, she didn't even know what happened because she's completely disassociated from any responsibility in her own life, is now, after begging for cash from her Instagram followers, selling t-shirts and hoodies for $45 and $35 a pop of her mugshot on said t-shirt and on said hoodie. In her latest money grab, Meatball has rolled out hoodies and t-shirts under the hashtag #FreeMeatball in black, pink, and red, which are up for sale for $45 and $35 respectively. Here's a look of how these look on her store, but also how they look on somebody who's modeling them. And again, it just goes to show you that there is no remorse or real fear of consequences anywhere in this, even though she should be afraid. When you do something like this in the public, you should fear consequences, but guess what? She does not. Now look, there should be nothing funny about this, but the thing is, you kinda have to laugh when you think about the consequences that other people face in the criminal justice system versus somebody like Meatball, who filmed herself rioting and looting, who showed no remorse at all whatsoever, because if you didn't laugh, you kinda go crazy. So Meatball actually announced the promotion of these shirts and hoodies and all of that an hour after she said she was leaving social media due to the stress that this situation has put upon her and her family. An hour later, after she quit social media, she started selling t-shirts and hoodies so you could support her through her social media. Insanity in every possible way, and I actually expect these to sell like hotcakes, even though she's crying like a little baby in her mugshot. Now, some of you are going to say, the evil orange man Trump, he's selling merchandise of his mugshot. This is true. But at least the evil orange man Trump is attempting to deny the allegations against him, and we haven't actually seen videotaped evidence of him encouraging the rioting and looting as related to January 6th, which, by the way, was rioting. There was no actual looting on January 6th. So it's a little bit different in kind, and it's a little bit different in tone. But that being said, she's pretending that she's sorry. She's looking to throw herself on the mercy of the court to get a sweetheart deal from Larry Krasner, and at the same time, she's completely and utterly mocking our justice system. And by the way, this is totally going to work. If you think she's going to get a serious conviction for this, you have another thing coming. My prediction is she gets probation maximum. The charges are going to be reduced, and it's going to happen a few months from now, maybe a year from now, when most of us have forgotten about this case, because what these left-wing prosecutors do is they lower charges, they dismiss charges, they work out agreements with these people, so we can expect some kind of community service or whatever, but no actual consequences, which, by the way, should be implemented against her. We should have this as an example, because in reality, the city of Philadelphia doesn't care about this rioting and looting going on even further. If they did care, they would vote out Krasner. If they did care, they would demand change, but they're not going to. Now look, obviously I put out my opinion on what I think might happen in this case versus what I think should happen in this case, but I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Do you think there will actually be consequences for her actions, or are you going to be in the overwhelming minority of people in my audience who thinks that this is something that happened to Meatball and she's just a victim of circumstances? Obviously, not expecting a lot of that, but let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social media, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about Meatball being charged and making a mockery of the justice system. Till next time.